Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Prob Sports World. On today's episode of the show, we are going to talk about the coaching carousel, as we have had 4 head coaches hired since the last time we had this conversation. And then we're going to talk about Bill Belichick and the NFL Hall of Fame. If you like what we're doing here at Prob Sports World, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huffman, and from the Daily Blitz.blog. Our good friend and Christian Damas over there, Mr. Christian Simpson. Welcome to the show, my friend. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, as it were. And shout out to everybody watching us over there on the YouTube. Jamie, appreciate you. Hizzy67, appreciate you as well. For you guys saying hi. Please like us, share, and subscribe if you like what we're doing here at Prime Sports World. We are a sports podcast bringing you content 24/7. And happy Wednesday, Christian. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? I'm never usually on with you on a Wednesday. It's always
you're too good for us on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but man, it's always good to be able to converse and talk the game with you, my good friend.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into that. Just let's get into it. Let's talk about the coaching carousel. Last time, we had 4 guys hired, including somebody hired this morning. Jesse Minter, former defensive coordinator for the for the Los Angeles Chargers, will now be the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Mike McCarthy, former Packers and Cowboys coach, will replace another Mike in Pittsburgh, as he's now the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Todd Monken, breaking news this morning around 10 Pacific Standard, maybe like 9:30 Pacific Standard Time, that Todd Monken was hired as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, former offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, and really the architect of the offense that really made Lamar Jackson who he is today. And then kind of a surprising move by the Buffalo Bills. Instead of going outside of the franchise, they've promoted Bill Brady to the head coach. He replaces Sean McDermott. The open jobs, we got Cardinals and the Raiders still available. I imagine one of these 2 teams is probably waiting for Clint Kubiak to finish his season, and he will be the next head coach of that football team. If I had to guess, it's going to be the Cardinals.
I'm gonna disagree with you, David. I think
you think they're going back to the Seattle well in Las Vegas?
Nah, I think he's gonna take the Raider job. I don't know. That just seems a little more appealing than what they have going on in Arizona right now. Because think about it. You have the number 1 overall pick. More than likely, you're gonna take Fernando Mendoza. You have your own quarterback to groom. Hopefully, they can get some money and maybe put some weapons around the young quarterback. And Clint Kubiak, I saw what he did with Seattle. Now, it'll be good to see him get his first shot, his first opportunity.
Let's just talk about each individual hire. Let's start with the Ravens. That happened almost a week ago. He's got a college football national championship. He was the defensive coordinator of those Michigan teams that won the title. And then he was a very good defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. Spent some time in Vanderbilt, was in Baltimore before as a defensive assistant, defensive back coach, and defensive backs coach between 2017 and 2020. Pretty young guy here, just 42 years old, originally from Little Rock, Arkansas. What do we think about the Jesse Minter hire for the Baltimore Ravens?
I like it. He's a Harbaugh disciple. He's worked under John and he's worked under Jim. I mean, that Michigan defense was amongst one of the top 2 or 3 best in the country under Jesse Minter's tutelage. Saw what he did with the Los Angeles Chargers, and I think they made this move because this defense hasn't been the same since Mike McDonald left the Baltimore Ravens. The year Mike was there, I thought Baltimore had the best defense in the league, and I thought it was good enough to carry them to a Super Bowl. Yeah, I really thought that it was, but it just didn't pan out that way. And
the problem with the Ravens has not been their offense. Their offense has been fantastic the last couple of seasons. Their defense has not been up to Ravens snuff, and the Ravens snuff is extremely high standard, especially when you have the pieces on this defense that you have there in Baltimore. When you have Kyle Hamilton, probably a top 5 defender in the NFL. I mean, Roquan Smith. I mean, you have some really nice pieces on this defense. For them to continually give up big chunks of plays and big points in games is kind of unacceptable for the Ravens and what they've been over the course of their history. And hopefully Jesse Minter, did a good job in Los Angeles with less talent than he's going to have in Baltimore.
Yeah, most definitely. But I think, the biggest caveat this year for the Baltimore Ravens was not having Nnamdi Madubuike in the middle of that defensive line. Because, David, you've watched football just about as long as I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you seen teams just run the football with fluidity on the Baltimore Ravens?
A lot.
You never really saw it. This year, a lot of teams did it because there wasn't that force in the middle of the defense. And now you bring and so hopefully you get a healthy Matabuki back. And yeah, I think Baltimore is going to be just fine. You said it best. Their offense isn't the problem. It's been their defense.
And I haven't seen who they're going to bring in as their coordinators yet. I'm sure they've announced some of them, but I just haven't personally seen who they're going to be bringing in as their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator there in Baltimore. Looked it up here in just a minute. From there, let's talk about Mike McCarthy. Kind of a rehash, another Mike going to Pittsburgh. He's got a Super Bowl title, but unfortunately for Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I do believe that the last time Mike McCarthy won a playoff game was also the same year that Mike Tomlin won a playoff game. That might not be right, but no, it can't be. Oh yeah, you know what? Actually, no, because they lost the NC title game against the Falcons. And then they got fired that season. And then they won So I guess he's had some. I mean, they beat Dallas, Tampa Bay, that playoff game. So I guess I can't say that. But the last time they made it to the Super Bowl was also the same year that Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers made it to the Super Bowl. That I can say. I'm just not blown away. This hire feels like I don't know. I just don't really like this hire for Baltimore. It feels like a Hail Mary try to keep Aaron Rodgers in the building because they have no plan if he retires, and they're like, oh, Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers have this rapport together. We'll bring him on, and he'll stay on for one more season just so he can stay with Mike McCarthy. It just seems really short-sighted for a franchise that usually doesn't make short-sighted decisions like this.
Yeah. David, I somewhat like this move. I do, because they did bring in an experienced guy. I do have to give them that. But I also will, I'll agree with you that they really don't have a plan. And I know he does have that familiarity with Aaron Rodgers, but the Steelers they got to go to the well, and they need to attack in free agency. I mean, outside of DK Metcalf, really didn't have any other weapons to get the ball to. They don't run the football like they used to, and their defense was just as soft as the Baltimore Ravens this year, if not softer. So I'm really curious to see what direction they're going to go. And remember, this is a team that hasn't had a losing season in 19 years. So that could be borderline on the line right now, entering the 2026 season.
I just personally don't think this is a good hire. Like the Steelers have only had 3 head coaches since 72. I mean, I kind of thought that they would hit the reset button on this and get somebody who's young and upcoming. This feels like you're expected to still compete in the AFC North. And that doesn't make a whole ton of sense to me, especially if Aaron Rodgers retires. I mean, you bring in Mike McCarthy, he feels like a head coach. Like, hey, we bring in Mike McCarthy, he should elevate us above what we were doing with Mike Tomlin. This is a bad hire. I don't really get it. And this is a Pittsburgh Steelers team that should go into some sort of semi-rebuild. And this feels like the opposite of that.
Can't disagree with you. I mean,
I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't know.
Because look, I read that they're open to having Aaron Rodgers return. But
yeah, I mean, of course you're going to be open. They don't. There is no other plan. Like they don't have it. There's nobody on the roster. There's nobody to draft. I mean, you're going to throw a bunch of money at Malik Willis and hope that he could. I mean, we only really seen him play well for 2 games in the National Football League. Are you just going to hope that he could be the guy moving forward? This feels like a very, very short-sighted hire. They did this for one reason and one reason only. It's to keep Aaron Rodgers in the building.
Keep Aaron Rodgers around. Period. Or, they do have Will Howard. They did draft him last year. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, he is coming off a natty. I mean, maybe. I mean, he does have the opportunity to potentially be that guy, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, because Mason Rudolph ain't the guy. You know, why not?
Yeah, no,
See, look, this is where I will forever be kind of like upset and ticked off with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because toward the end of Ben's career, they never really drafted a guy that they could groom, sit behind Roethlisberger, learn the ins and outs of how to be a pro. Like, look how the Green Bay Packers did it. Had Brett Favre all those years. Aaron Rodgers sat, 3 seasons?
Yeah.
Got his chance, did what he did, became who he became, draft Jordan Love, and now look at Jordan Love. The Steelers didn't do that.
I mean, it's the same thing as Kansas City. I mean, they had Alex Smith, who was a very good quarterback there. You still draft Patrick Mahomes in the first round in the top 10. You trade up to get Patrick Mahomes, and he becomes the heir apparent after one season. Alex Smith gets traded to the Washington Commanders. Yeah, they were just the Steelers as a whole. They've handled this post-Ben, the end of Ben's career, very poorly.
Yeah, they definitely have.
So I guess we will see. And then breaking news this morning: Todd Monken hired by the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, he has a really good resume when it comes to being a coordinator in both college and in the National Football League. He was in Cleveland as the offensive coordinator in 2009 with the Baker Mayfield season. He also was the Buccaneers coordinator from 2018. That feels like the 30-30 season for Jameis Winston, but don't quote me on that. Then he goes to Georgia. And he wins 2 national titles there. He comes back to the National Football League, and he's the offensive coordinator while Lamar Jackson wins an MVP, and for many people should have won a second. He goes into Cleveland. They have interesting pieces at least on the defensive side. You got Shedeur Sanders. Not much else when I talk about this football team. We talked about this a little bit when this job became available. All of their offensive linemen that started games for them last season are all free agents. They're going to have to replace the entire line. Not that it was any good anyways. And this is a team that has woeful wide receiver play. They do have Harold Fanning Jr., who I do like. I do like David Njoku at the tight end position. And running back, I think Quinshon Judkins could be the guy, but I don't know how much time he's going to miss with that devastating injury towards the end of the season last year. So you're kind of starting over from scratch there as well. But if you're Todd Monken, this is an opportunity where you get to go into Cleveland and you get to make this team yours. And whatever that is, he has the opportunity to do that here in Cleveland. I think this is a pretty solid hire.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I mean,
even with the Jim Schwartz stuff, because Jim Schwartz, no offense to you or anything, we've seen you as a head coach of the National Football League. You're going to be a coordinator for your career. That's it. Period.
Yeah,
you're just not a head coach.
No, either you have it to be a head coach or you don't. And we saw what Jim did, and he just he never was able to put it together. But now with Todd, just seeing what he did at Georgia, he was a coach on those teams, like you just mentioned, that won back-to-back national championships, and he's made his rounds. The Cleveland Browns need a good offensive mind to help develop Shedeur Sanders a little bit more, and I think they got him. But I think what's going to be more important is who's he going to hire to be that offensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? If he has to bring in the right guy, a guy that can come in and develop Shedeur a little bit more into what he wants him to be for this football team. But here's my question to you, Mr. David On Point. Will Myles Garrett be a Cleveland Brown next year?
Yes. Did we talk about this like a week ago? I feel like, or did we talk about this? I feel like we just literally had this conversation. I think Myles Garrett is, quote unquote, I think he may be stuck in Cleveland for a little while, because his opportunity to leave the Cleveland Browns was last offseason before he signed that extension. Now he's on a big fatty contract. I think he's not worth it. I think the asking price for Myles Garrett will be too much for any team in the NFL to pay. I think he'll be a Cleveland Brown at least for one more season.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Obviously, if you're Todd Monken and this is your first head coaching job in since you were the head coach in Southern Miss in 2013, so you haven't had a head coaching job in 13 seasons. This is your first opportunity. You want as many pieces in your war chest as you can, and losing Myles Garrett right after taking this job would probably not be ideal.
No, it wouldn't. I've been saying, I remember last year after Myles Garrett signed that contract extension, I remember saying, look, You can't let a guy like that go. Just get a quarterback, get the right coach, and you could have something brewing. But there's still a lot of work to do within the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and I think we'll see what this team looks like when we start the season. But it is on paper, this looks like a fantastic hire. And yes, we do feel bad for Jim Schwartz. He wanted this job, but unfortunately, that's just not the way it goes. Moving on from there to what in my opinion, is the most head-scratching hire of this carousel so far. The hiring of Joe Brady by the Buffalo Bills to just promote him from offensive coordinator to the head coach. He's been in Buffalo since 2022. He's been the quarterback's coach. He's been the interim offensive coordinator, and then he became the offensive coordinator in 24-25 and led a pretty dynamic offense there for the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, he was in Carolina for 21-22, and then he was the passing game coordinator for that dynamic team at LSU. And really, the reason he's gotten a lot of the opportunities that he's gotten so far in the National Football League is because of that LSU stint in 2019 under Joe Burrow. I just this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, this guy was in the building when this team came up short every season. Was it 3 seasons in a row where you've come up short, and you fire Sean McDermott, you throw him under the bus during your exit press conference by one of the most, like, I didn't realize the Buffalo Bills how poorly managed they were until I watched that presser with their owner and Brandon Beane. I don't get it.
No, I don't get it either. I'm with you, David. Because look, I remember when being introduced to Joe Brady when he was the coordinator of the LSU Tigers. I mean, that offense is probably one of the best offenses I've seen from a college football standpoint. Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Justin Jefferson on one side, Jamar Chase on the other. And I mean, God, it was a video game like offense every single week. Seriously. Comes up, goes to the NFL. And I knew he was going to be a head coach eventually. I remember even telling you, if the Bengals got rid of Zach Taylor, Joe Brady would be the guy because of that, being familiar with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Now, I don't like this move. I personally think this isn't a move that's going to move the needle for the Buffalo Bills. Like, if anything, I even saw somebody on Twitter joke around and say, congratulations to the New England Patriots on winning the 2026 AFC East Division title. And they're not wrong, because this doesn't move the needle. Like, in just last week, we were talking about, hey, out of all the openings that were available, we both said the Buffalo Bills was the one that really had our attention because of the quarterback.
Yeah.
Because of Josh Allen. He's a year removed from his MVP. He's in his prime right now. But the reason why I don't particularly care about this move is because Joe Brady's made questionable play calls down the stretch of football games. We saw it last year in the AFC Championship against the Kansas City Chiefs. James Cook was doing.
You talk about this all the time. Like, let James Cook cook, and they constantly take the ball out of his hands and put it. No disrespect to Ty Johnson or Ray Davis or any of these other running backs that the Bills have. James Cook is arguably your second best player on the team, and for him not to be on the field in fourth quarter scenarios constantly is a malpractice.
Look. No, David, I'm going to do you one better. I think James Cook is their best player. No disrespect to Josh Allen, but things flow a little bit differently and a lot better when they're letting James cook. Plain and simple. Yeah, but like I was saying, that AFC Championship game against Kansas City, the one they just lost last year, like, James Cook was cooking, and Kansas City had no answer for him, and he's not even on the field down the stretch. And how didn't I go on a rant the day after with you about that? Yeah. And look at their offense this year. Like, I'm going to be completely blunt here. There's not a single wide receiver on the Buffalo Bills, as a former defensive player, that scares me. Khalil Shakir is good, but again, he's not a guy that can consistently create and go over the top. Curtis Samuel, average. Joshua Palmer, average.
Barely played anyways.
Right. Keon Coleman, he can't stay on the field because he's making boneheaded decisions. They need a number one, seriously. And I've said it throughout the year since the trade deadline. The Bills should have made that move to acquire Chris Olave from the New Orleans
or Jalen Waddle. Both of those two guys, both of those wide receivers are known to be available.
Right. Or
all you had to do was pull the trigger on it.
Or before the Commanders decided to lock him up to an extension, you should have tried to acquire Terry McLaurin. He would have instantly given Josh a number one weapon. And look, I know he was a little bit of a head case, but Stephon Diggs was a guy you had to account for. Now look at Stephon Diggs
going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I don't. This is a baffling decision. I don't understand. Like this guy was in the building when this team came up short season after season after season, and for him to be promoted to head coach is, I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. I would have gone outside the organization. I would have gone. I would have waited until after the Super Bowl at least. Because I don't even think they could even talk to Clint Kubiak until the Super Bowl's over.
No, they couldn't. Couldn't.
It's the fact that they didn't at least try to interview Clint Kubiak is embarrassing. I don't really. The Buffalo Bills have kind of shown that they're like everybody kind of thinks that because they have these great fans, right? And they're like it's a really well-run franchise.
It's really not.
Apparently not. They're just lucky enough they got Josh Allen because if you remember before Josh Allen, they still, I think to this day, have the longest streak of missing the playoffs in a row that the Jets are now flirting with. But like this Buffalo Bills team before Josh Allen walked through the door, and I guess Tyrod Taylor was the first to take him to the playoffs. But ever since Josh Allen's been there, they've been the model of consistency. This wasn't always the case for Buffalo. Like we all think about the sunshine and rainbows it's been over the last decade. Like it was putrid for like 20 years. Like, embarrassing.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, you know what, David? I'll even go out on a limb. Don't be surprised if the Buffalo Bills don't even make the playoffs next year.
I don't know if I can say that.
Look. The AFC, you just never know what any of these other teams are gonna do. Like, you know, I think if Baltimore could get healthy, yeah, that's one right there. We'll talk about that.
We'll get to it. But yeah, so now we're just down to just two jobs. We have the Las Vegas Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona, they have had second interviews. They have had interviews with Clint Kubiak, defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. Yes, that same LaFleur. So they've also made interview requests to the Patriots passing game coordinator Thomas Brown, Matt Nagy, Raheem Morris, Vance Joseph, Arthur Smith, Chris Shula, Rams defensive coordinator, and also Ron Rivera, who is currently the University of Cal's head coach. And then on the Las Vegas Raiders side, they have had the defensive coordinator for the Panthers, Evero, Davis Webb, the Broncos quarterback coach, which Brian Daboll before he took the offensive coordinator position in Tennessee, I think that's a great hire by in Tennessee, by the way. But Clint Kubiak, who do you like of those two jobs? Which one? I know we kind of talked about a touchdown earlier. Which would you rather have, and who do you think will eventually get hired in both of those locations?
For Arizona, I could see them going after Ron Rivera. Like, you know, he's experienced. The Cardinals need someone that's going to rally the troops and bring these men together because they don't have that. That's just what it is. Jonathan Gannon wasn't that guy, plain and simple. But they have question marks at quarterback as well. Ron Rivera knows how to command the respect of a locker room, you know, and I think he would have even been good in Buffalo. If I'm being honest.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I mean, you see what he did with those Commander teams. Like they had no business making the playoffs.
No, they didn't. And I mean, look,
like Tyler six pack of Heineke.
Yeah. And you know, another one. He got the Carolina Panthers to a Super Bowl. Yeah. You know, Cam Newton had the best season of his career under Ron Rivera. So yeah, I'm gonna say Ron Rivera for Arizona, and for the Raiders, I'm gonna say Clint Kubiak, and that's another one I thought the Bills should have gone after. I agree.
I don't get it. No.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I just think, you know, the situation that Clint would walk into with, you have the number one overall pick. We already know who your guy is going to be.
They have Ashton Genty, who had a pretty solid rookie season with all the other stuff around him. But you have Brock Bowers, arguably the best tight end in the NFL.
Right.
They're Max Crosby, come back. If you bring him back into the fold, there are some pieces on this team.
And you fix up that offensive line because Ashton Genty was able to do what he did with the offensive line that really wasn't that formidable.
No, you're right. Moving on from there, from the coaching carousel to an interesting head coaching, whatever that we want to talk about with Bill Belichick, legendary coach snubbed from the Hall of Fame, will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We're obviously talking about Bill Hoodie Belichick. 29 seasons as a head coach in the National Football League, 8-time Super Bowl champion. He has the most wins of any coach in the playoffs. He's the second most wins of any coach in the regular season. He's got 6 as a coach, 2 as an assistant, 333 career wins. Last he coached in the NFL in 2023. And I know you're asking, doesn't he have to wait for 5 years? No. They made a new rule last year that now coaches only have to wait 1 season before they're eligible for the Hall of Fame, which is why Bill Belichick was up now. The full Hall of Fame class will be unveiled on February 5th at the NFL Honors Show in Santa Clara, or I think it's just in somewhere in San Francisco, as the NFL gets ready to play the Super Bowl. If you're the committee, if you were trying to make a point, I'm not sure what point you're trying to make. Like, yes, there were scandals here. Is this the biggest snub in Hall of Fame history? What happened here? What is this?
I'm just as flabbergasted as you. And David, I will be giving my thoughts on this on the site. So should we? For everybody.
Let's go. Let's go. Come on, baby. Come on.
Well, all right. 1, 2, 3.
Shameless plug number 1, baby. Let's go.
David, I haven't been this startled with a Hall of Fame since 2020 with a different sport, when there was just one idiot that didn't give Derek Jeter that vote. Because I thought Derek Jeter should have been a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. But that's another topic for another discussion. But this right here, like Bill Belichick to me he's the greatest head coach I've ever seen in the history of our sport. I mean, the attention to detail, right? Like he was a mastermind at just kind of like game planning as a game went on. So if a team struggled to stop the run, what were the Patriots going to do offensively? Run the football. Struggle to stop the pass? They were going to throw the ball until you could stop it. Or as David says, they would run the football down your throat until you could limit it, right? Yeah. I touched on this yesterday. The thing that will always stand out to me about Coach is the simple fact he's given the underdogs a chance to flourish. Julian Edelman, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, Lawrence Maroney, Danny Amendola had a few good seasons under him. Drafted a tight end who's going to be a Hall of Famer. Well, who knows now at this point, because I just don't trust it. But Rob Gronkowski, he took a chance on him. And then I just look at what he's done for veterans who were in different situations who were frustrated. Corey Dillon in Cincinnati. Brings in Corey Dillon in 2004, and what do the Patriots do? They won a Super Bowl. Rodney Harrison, they got rid of Lawyer Malloy to bring in Rodney Harrison.
A very popular team, a very popular player in New England, Lawyer Malloy too.
Yeah,
like a really popular player.
And I remember when they released Lawyer Malloy because he signed with the Buffalo Bills to get back at New England. The Bills play the Patriots to open up the 2003 season, and they shut out the New England Patriots. You knew that was one Lawyer wanted. Obviously, look at what Bill did for Randy Moss. Like Randy Moss put together the greatest season I've ever seen from a wide receiver. That 16-0 Patriots team, and they were always a lock. Those Patriots teams to get to the Super Bowl as long as they had 2 guys, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And I even think of 2014. Brings in Darrelle Revis, and I say it all the time. The Patriots don't win that Super Bowl in 2014 if they don't sign Darrelle Revis.
So I mean, so the NFL regularly, constantly seems to get this stuff wrong. Like, like if you're trying to like the only point that you're proving is that you're incompetent. Like if there's a Bill Polian, which I have no idea. We don't know, but like there's all the rumors out there making the way around the internet. But like if you were trying to prove a point to Bill Belichick, all you've done is destroy the Hall of Fame. There is no world where a Bill Belichick with the resume that he has, I just went through it. I just freaking went through it. No, number 2 all time in wins, number 1 all time in playoff wins, 8 Lombardis in his trophy case. There is no reality where he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the only thing that you've done by making a point is destroyed the credibility of the Hall of Fame. And obviously he'll get in next year or whatever, and it'll recover eventually. But this is a black eye on the league that has had a lot of black eyes this season. There is the microscope on the NFL has been with, we have this conversation all the time about games being rigged and like the presence of gambling being involved in the National Football League and with officiating and like just stuff in the NFL. This should have been an easy home run, slam dunk. You put Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame because he's earned it. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, I don't get this.
And I'm not somebody who swears a whole lot, but
no, you're not.
It's unbelievable. I don't get it.
Oh man. Oh my God!
Oh
baby.
shit! Let's go, baby!
Let's go!
The CEO.
I think I came right on time, baby. I came right on time to the topic I wanted to talk about.
You just heard me drop an F-bomb.
Man, I couldn't agree more with you, David. I mean, I think we're all on the same page. There is a black eye on the sport, black eye on the voting committee. I think just like the Baseball Hall of Fame, I think it needs to be addressed in terms of who's voting and what the criteria is for voting. Me and Christian talked about it a little bit yesterday. If we're going to hold Bill Belichick accountable for Spygate and Deflategate, then are you going to hold Tom Brady for the same standard for being involved as the starting quarterback for those teams that were involved in Spygate, that were involved in Deflategate? It just doesn't make any sense. Like David said, it's a black eye on the Hall of Fame, in which the Hall of Fame, has, most of the time gotten it right. They didn't get it right with T.O. And, the thing is with the journalists, the sports writers that write, they hold grudges over time. They don't like the fact that, certain players spoke out against them, or they don't like the fact that how players were off the field, and hold that against them when it comes down to it. And the criteria is what happens on the field. Am I not right? Am I wrong? Am I right? And I know it's not like some of these things are.
Although I will say, I think when Antonio Brown becomes eligible, if he's not
already, that's a different story.
I think there will be a very real conversation about his.
Is he going to get in or not? Yeah, that is going to be a different subject for a different day. But
anyways, you're right. I mean, it's supposed to be you're on the field. Resume. Yeah.
Here's the other thing that gets me, because they've done this with some players too. Like,
for sure.
Antonio Gates last year. Like, he went in last year, but he should have been in on the first ballot. Remember, this is a guy that never played a down of college football, number one, and he retired as the all-time leader in touchdowns for a tight end, David and Izzy. So that's number one right there. I felt DeMarcus Ware should have gotten in on the first ballot. I think he's like 7th or 8th all time on the sacks list. He didn't get in on the first ballot. He got in on the second ballot. And then my guy, Michael Strahan, he should have been in on the first ballot. He got it on the second ballot.
He held a record that stood for 25
years.
So here's the thing about Pro Football Hall of Fame. They say that making it. They try to make these excuses, Christian David, that it's not as bad or not as rigorous. Like it's not as bad as if you don't make first ballot Hall of Fame in baseball. Like if you don't make first ballot Hall of Fame, it gets increasingly harder. Right to make the Hall of Fame. Look at Ron Santo for many, many, many years. I mean, he was in the same era as Brooks Robinson as the second best third baseman in the era. And it took him, I mean, well, he was dead by the time they put him in the Hall of Fame. For God's sake, Pete Rose just got in. So as the years go on in baseball, but with football, they try to make this excuse and say, oh, well, it doesn't matter if they're not first ballot Hall of Fame. He's going to get in regardless. Like, you look at guys like, who's the wide receiver? Star Wars, or not Star Wars, but Lynn Swan. He got in on the 15th ballot. Lynn
That's
Swan
crazy.
was one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. He got in on the 15th try. And they make it seem like it's not a big deal because, oh, he's going to get in regardless. It's just there's like players ahead of him that were just better. And it's like, that's not the case. I guess they don't hold the guys to the same standard as baseball. When they don't make it the first time, it gets a lot harder. Like I said, I think football is just a crying sham and a crying shame for doing this. So one of the probably the greatest coach in our era. There's no other coach that was more successful, that brought home more hardware. We're looking at the fruits of his labor, of his coaching tree right now as we speak. As the New England Patriots are back in the Super Bowl with Drake May, Mike Vrabel, who is a Bill Belichick understudy as a player, you know, and Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. Those guys come from Bill Belichick's coaching tree, and he got that team in the Super Bowl. They got that team back in the Super Bowl. So Bill Belichick is more than just the Super Bowls, and it's all the impact that he's had across the league and across like coaches. How many coaches from the Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells tree have gotten coaching jobs and have been successful in professional football and in collegiate football? A shit ton. A shit ton. One of the greatest college coaches, the greatest college coach of all time that we say in our era, Nick Saban. Nick Saban. Where did he come from, Christian?
The Bill Belichick coaching tree, baby.
Now, what are we talking about here?
Izzy, look, Izzy. Yeah, man, you're lucky I'm not at my office right now, because that's what a belt. This is a belt to ass committee.
What's the whole thing? I don't get the whole thing about what Bill Polian had a bunch of influence on it. Did you guys go over that? I mean, I don't understand.
I mean, we touched on it, but it's all rumors and hearsay. So I don't really understand like what Bill Polian has to do with any of this. How is he controlling people? Like, are you kidding me?
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So that's that. I went on a nice rant. That was good. That felt really good. That felt really good, guys.
And if you want to see Christian's full thoughts on this Bill Belichick snub, you can find it over on the Daily Blitz.blog. Christian, when's that going live?
That's going up as soon as I get off. But look, because y'all are family, I'm giving a family discount. Y'all gonna see it first.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Beautiful. I can't wait to read it.
Izzy, you know we got to end the show the way we end every show together, but before David wraps it up. But yeah, man, look, Izzy can probably be like, look, I can sleep well knowing I got that all off my.
I was hoping I could get on the show before you guys ended it with the Bill Belichick thing.
Man, you were like right on, man. Your timing better.
I can't be right on time.
I finished my rant and I was about ready to wrap up the show, and then you're just like, oh, wait a minute, I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm not finished. I got one more to say. You know what? Another thing I want to say is, what the hell? And this is just off topic, but Mike McDaniels, what the hell are you doing up there on the podium? I'm not big on opening statements. He's wearing a damn leather jacket with the tie, looking dorky as ever. You know what? You better get in your bag with Justin Herbert and everybody else in Los Angeles, because you know what? Damn it, you should be probably coaching high school football at this point. The way you ran that damn Miami Dolphins down there. So yeah, Mike McDaniels, whatever. Get that shit together. You're doing a interview, one collar popped up, the other one down. What's going on here, man? Like, what happened to like wearing suits and ties. Why this guy got to come on and be like too cool for school? Okay, I just got signed off on that.
I actually think Mike McDaniel looks pretty good in this leather jacket.
Look, I'm just old school. If you're gonna come to a press conference, take the damn jacket off, son. Okay, you're not gonna go play some pool. You're not gonna have some cosmopolitan with your damn friends. You know, you're not going out. You know what I mean? Take your damn jacket off. Wear a fucking tie and a suit and be a damn man. Okay, that's all I gotta say.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us here at Prime Sports World. Before we go, real quick, I want to give a friend of mine a shout out. Not feeling super well, so hopefully she starts to feel better kind of soon. But yeah, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. This has been our Coaching Carousel Bill Belichick conversation. We are Prime Sports World. I'm David On Point Huppin. There's the CEO, Mr. Israel Rivera, and from the Daily Blitz.blog, Mr. Christian Simpson. And
I like that.
Yeah, gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime? Friends.
We bring
the heat, baby.
And we bring belts to ass. Izzy, you know what we got to do.
I got you. And in case we all miss you, good afternoon, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
He threw that thing off the backboard like Tracy McGrady did in the All-Star game in Philly in 2002, just for me to say my favorite 4 words. Holla at your boy.
But yeah, we'll be back here next week breaking down the Super Bowl, breaking down all the key matchups, all the key players. You don't want to miss any of that content. And then probably next Wednesday, we'll also talk a little bit more about the coaching carousel, as I'm sure some people will be hired between now and then. But keep an eye out for all that stuff. This has been Prime Sports World. Thank you very much for joining us. You all have a good night. Stay safe out there. Gentlemen, you all have a good night. Stay safe.
Yep. Stay safe, baby.